When she told me she was unfaithful, I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just watched her face and said, "Thanks for telling me." And in that moment, I knew exactly what I needed to do. This isn't the story of a broken marriage. It's the story of a quiet war that ended before she realized a battle had even started. I'm writing this now because I need to put it somewhere. Somewhere real. Somewhere people won't look at me with either pity or judgment. Somewhere anonymous. So here it is. My name doesn't matter. Just call me M. I was married for 9 years to a woman named Ava. We had 2 kids. A dog named Pepper. A little house in the suburbs with a backyard full of toys and weeds. We were fine. Not perfect. Just fine. Until we weren't. The cracks didn't show up like explosions. No shouting matches. No flying plates. No doors slammed off hinges. Just silence. Unspoken eye rolls. The kind of slow, decaying resentment that builds like dust behind your fridge, invisible until it's choking you. I started noticing it a year before everything fell apart. She stopped kissing me on the mouth. Stopped laughing at my dumb jokes. Started putting her phone face down every time she was near me. I asked if something was wrong. She said, "No. Just tired." She was always tired. One night, she came home late from a work dinner. The kids were asleep. I was sitting at the kitchen table drinking stale coffee, scrolling through photos on my phone from when things felt easier. She walked in, took off her shoes, and said, "We need to talk." And I knew. Not what she'd say, not exactly. But I knew it was going to be her version of nuclear. She sat down. Didn't look me in the eyes. Said, "I've been seeing someone." Just like that. Not "I made a mistake." Not "I have feelings for someone else." Not even a tear. Just a cold, rehearsed line. Delivered like she was ordering takeout. I stared at her for a long time. Tried to remember the last time we touched. Tried to imagine her with another man. Failed. And then I said, "Okay. That's all." No screaming. No storming out. Just, "Okay." And I saw her blink. That blink, that half-second flicker of "wait, what?" told me everything. She expected a fight. She wanted one. But I wasn't going to give it to her. See, I knew Ava. Knew her well. And I knew when she lied. The thing was, I didn't believe her. Not really. She wasn't cheating. She was trying to end the marriage without saying the actual words. She didn't want to be the bad guy who filed first. Didn't want to explain to her parents or her friends or our kids why Daddy wasn't home anymore. So she did what cowards do. She made up a bombshell and hoped I'd detonate it. She watched me for a reaction. When I gave her none, she added, "It's been going on for a few months." I nodded. "Okay. He's different. We talk. He listens." "Good," I said. "Glad you have that." Another flicker in her eyes. She didn't expect calm. She expected rage. We sat in silence for a while. Eventually, she went upstairs. Didn't say goodnight. Just walked away. I stared at her empty mug across the table and thought, if you want a villain, I'll be your villain. But I'll be the quiet kind. The kind that smiles while he builds the trap. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't need to. I had a plan. The next morning, I woke up early. Made the kids breakfast. Walked the dog. Smiled like nothing happened. She came downstairs, half waiting for me to bring it up again. I didn't. She blinked again. That same flicker of discomfort. She was still hoping I'd do it. Still hoping I'd blow up, say something unforgivable, storm out so she could say, "He left." Instead, I kissed her cheek and said, "Have a good day." That's when the war began. Not with shouting, but with strategy. Over the next few weeks, I did the following. Spoke to a lawyer. Quietly. Privately. Explained everything. Showed no emotion. Installed a small audio recorder in the bedroom vent. Not illegal in our state. Just smart. Started gathering documents, bank records, text logs, time-stamped GPS from our shared family app. Every detail. Every crack. Every inconsistency in her story. I built a wall of data. And all the while, I let her think she was getting away with it. Let her stay out late. Let her text her sister at 11 p.m. Smiled when she came home. Held her hand at dinner in front of the kids. She looked more and more confused every day. Because I wasn't falling apart. And that scared her more than any confrontation could. The first twist. 2 weeks after her confession, I saw her phone open on the kitchen counter. Messages from her sister. She wrote. I told him I was cheating. He barely reacted. Just said okay. Like I didn't even matter. And then. I think he knows I made it up. Bingo. I had her. In her own words. I screenshotted it. Saved it to my file. Dated it. Tucked it into my growing case. And that's when I made the real decision. I wasn't going to just leave. I was going to win. She kept waiting for me to pack my bags. She didn't realize I already had, just not the kind that fit in a suitcase. The thing about leaving isn't the door slam. It's the disappearance, the slow, deliberate unraveling that doesn't make a sound. Ava still thought she was in control. Thought her fake confession had given her the upper hand. She walked lighter. Wore lipstick again. She even started texting in the open like she was allowed to now. She was bold. But not smart. Because she thought she had all the power in the room. But I was the only one who knew we were standing on a trapdoor. It started with the finances. She never paid the bills. That was always my job. So she didn't notice when I moved half our liquid savings to a separate account. One she couldn't access. I didn't hide it. Didn't change passwords or withdraw cash. I just moved it. Labeled it tax overflow in the budget spreadsheet she hadn't opened since 2021. Next, I called my lawyer again. We drew up paperwork. Divorce filing, ready. Custody proposal, ready. Asset protection strategy, in place. The goal wasn't to destroy her. The goal was to protect what mattered. The kids. I started keeping a journal. Every conversation, every lie, every late night at the office. Every interaction she had with the kids where she brushed them off, snapped at them, handed them an iPad instead of attention. It all went into a folder titled Documented Pattern. I stopped arguing. Stopped asking questions. That's the part that messed with her the most. Because for years, I'd always tried. Tried to fix things. Tried to connect. Tried to understand. Now I just nodded. She could say anything, and I'd say, okay. And that scared her. About a month in, she finally asked me. Why are you being so calm about this? I said. Because there's nothing left to argue about. She stared at me like she wanted to scream. But she couldn't. Because she was the one who started this. And now, she didn't know how to end it. Here's where it started to shift. She stopped bringing up the affair. Stopped mentioning him. There was no him, and we both knew it. But the ghost of him had taken up space between us. Instead, she started backtracking. Little things. Like saying, I think I just needed to feel heard. Or, it wasn't physical, not really. Or my favorite. I didn't think you'd believe me when I said I was unhappy. So I made it bigger. She confessed again. A second time. But this time, she said. I lied. There wasn't anyone. I just needed you to see me. She cried. For real this time. Big, wet, silent tears. And for a moment, I felt something flicker in my chest. But it died fast. Because it wasn't guilt. It was confirmation. She admitted it. On audio. And I had it all saved. I told her. Thank you for telling me. She looked at me, blinking, shaking, like she wanted me to hug her. But I didn't move. I just said. You don't have to leave, Ava. I already did. And I walked out of the room. That night, I started clearing out my things. Not from the house, not yet. From the marriage. I boxed up our wedding photos, labeled them sentimental, and hid them in the attic. Deleted our shared playlists. Transferred my primary health insurance to an individual plan. Little things. Quiet things. But they were goodbye in pieces. Then came the dog. Pepper always followed me. Slept at my feet. Whined when I left for work. Ava barely noticed her. So I started taking Pepper to a friend's house during the day, a place I knew I could trust. Because when I left, I wasn't leaving her behind. And the kids? I started prepping them too, without them realizing. More routines. More bedtime stories. More daddy's got you moments. Less of her. They started going to her less for things. Started calling me from the hallway when they needed something. She didn't notice. But the judge would. I sent a digital backup of all my files to a secure drive. I titled it, Plan A, Clean Exit. And one night, just for a moment, I stood in the living room and looked at her curled up on the couch, phone in hand, wine in the other, half smiling at some meme. And I thought. You don't even know what you're about to lose. The very next morning, she said. Maybe we should try again. And I smiled and said. Yeah. Maybe. Because the best way to finish this wasn't with a fight. It was with complete, surgical removal. She cried the first night. Not after. After that, she was giddy. Like she'd won. And I let her believe it. There's something eerie about watching someone move on from you when you're still in the room. Like a ghost watching your own funeral. For about a week after she said, let's try again, she pretended to care. She cooked twice. Bought groceries for once. Even initiated sex one night, which I politely turned down. And that was when the act cracked. She stopped trying after that. No more cooking. No more little pretend hugs. She went back to late-night scrolling sessions and lock-screen laughter. Except now she wasn't even hiding the fact that she'd stopped pretending. And I waited. I watched. Every time she snubbed the kids, I wrote it down. Every wine glass at 3 p.m.? Logged. Every night she left for errands and came back hours later in fresh makeup? Noted. I didn't accuse. Didn't ask. I just observed. And while she drifted off into whatever fantasy life she was building for herself, I was building something else. Exit velocity. The camera I'd hidden in the hallway light fixture caught one of the kids asking, "Can I sleep in your bed, Mommy?" Her response? "Go ask your father. I'm tired." This happened 3 times in 1 week. I compiled a highlight reel. Not to punish her, but to show the court who had already become the full-time parent. Twist? One night, I checked her location. She wasn't at the store. Or the gym. She was parked 3 blocks from our house, just sitting there in her car. I watched her through the window. Glass of wine in hand. Crying. Alone. That's when I realized she knew. Maybe not everything, but she knew I was already gone, even if I still had a key. She tried to reel it back. More kisses on the cheek. Sudden interest in the kids' homework. Even suggested a weekend getaway. But it wasn't real. None of it was. It was panic. Like a gambler who thought she folded the winning hand, only to realize I was sitting on a royal flush. That weekend, I finally told her. I'm filing. She laughed. Filing what? I just handed her the envelope. Her smile cracked like glass. She opened it. Read the header. Didn't say a word. I left the room. I didn't watch her fall apart. Because by then, I'd already done all my grieving in silence. Over the next few days, she tried everything. Anger. Gaslighting. Tears. She said, "You're punishing me for something I didn't even do." I said, "You did enough. Whether it was real or not doesn't matter anymore. Because here's the truth. When someone lies about cheating just to hurt you, that's still betrayal. It's emotional warfare dressed up like a cry for help." She told her family I blindsided her. Told her friends I had been planning this for months. She was right. I had. But she gave me every reason to. A week later, she called my mom behind my back. Told her I was being cold and manipulative. You know what my mom said? "You should have thought about that before you lied to him." That's when Ava finally understood. She hadn't just lost me. She'd lost control of the narrative. She walked right past the suitcases. She never looked in the dog crate. She didn't ask where the kids were. And by the time she realized, we were already gone. I didn't plan the day for any symbolic reason. It wasn't an anniversary or her birthday. Just a Tuesday. The kind of forgettable, empty weekday that mirrored what our marriage had become. I'd been preparing for this for weeks. The kids had overnight bags hidden in the back of my closet. Their favorite toys were already at my sister's house. The dog's crate was folded down and stashed in the garage behind a stack of unused Christmas decorations. All that was left was timing. She was sitting on the couch when I walked past with the first suitcase. Didn't even glance up. Headphones in. Scrolling TikTok. A glass of Sauvignon Blanc balanced on her thigh. The woman who once screamed if I left a dish in the sink now didn't notice I was carrying our children's lives out the front door. One bag. Then two. Then three. I loaded the car like I was running errands. The kids were at school. The dog already at my buddy Craig's place across town. By the time I walked back in with the last backpack, she finally spoke. "Can you pick up milk when you're out?" I paused. Just long enough to look at her and realize, she wasn't pretending anymore. She truly didn't see me. So I said, "Sure." And I walked out the door. At the end of the street, I texted her. "I won't be coming back tonight. Or any night after that. The kids are safe. The dog's with me. You'll be served in the morning. Please don't make this harder than it already is." She didn't reply right away. But I saw the typing bubbles come and go 4 times. When the message finally came in, it just said, "Is this really what you want?" I stared at it for a minute. Then locked my phone and kept driving. That night, I tucked the kids in at my sister's place. Read them 2 stories. Sang that dumb bedtime song Ava used to sing before she stopped trying. Pepper curled up at the foot of the bed like she already knew this was home now. Ava didn't call. Didn't show up. Didn't scream. I thought maybe she'd finally accepted it. But then came the knock. The next morning, she showed up at my sister's house, unannounced, no warning, demanding to see the kids. Screaming in the driveway like a banshee. My sister filmed the whole thing from the kitchen window. Ava in pajama pants, no bra, barefoot, mascara from the night before smudged into panic. I opened the door but didn't let her in. This isn't the way to do this. They're my kids too. Then act like it. And I shut the door. My lawyer filed an emergency hearing for temporary custody the same day. We submitted the video. The texts. The recordings. Her cheating confession, the lie that started all this. And the judge agreed. Temporary full custody awarded to me. Ava sent 3 messages that night. "You're taking this too far. I didn't mean to lose everything. I thought you'd finally fight for me. But it wasn't a fight anymore. It was a conclusion. She didn't just lose the marriage. She lost the script. And when the judge finally spoke, she realized she was the one who handed me the pen. Courtrooms aren't like the movies. They're boring. Stale. Fluorescent. No dramatic monologues. No slamming of fists or surprise confessions. Just paperwork, protocols, and people sitting behind cheap wooden tables while their lives fall apart. Ava came in looking put together. Gray blazer. Hair tied back. No eye contact. She didn't look at me. Didn't look at the kids sitting with my sister in the gallery. But I looked at her. Because I wanted to remember the exact moment the fantasy she built started crumbling for real. Our lawyers did the talking. Hers argued for joint custody. Claimed she had temporarily lost her footing and fabricated a cheating narrative out of emotional desperation. Said she was remorseful. That she'd learned her lesson. That we both bore responsibility. My lawyer didn't argue. She presented Exhibit A, Ava's texts to her sister, confirming the affair was fake. Exhibit B, audio of Ava admitting it was a lie to get a reaction. Exhibit C, footage of Ava ignoring the kids, the wine glasses, the midday meltdowns. And then Exhibit D, the driveway video. The judge watched it without saying a word. Ava, shrieking. Slurring. Throwing her fists against the hood of my car. My calm voice, reminding her to walk away. My sister, narrating behind the camera like a documentary. This is what the kids hear when they talk about mommy time. When the judge finally spoke, Ava sat up straighter. I think she still believed she had a chance. What she got was this. Full custody awarded to the father. Visitation rights may be reviewed in 6 months, contingent on completion of parenting and alcohol counseling. Temporary restraining order remains in place pending follow-up review. She blinked. Didn't speak. No outburst. No tears. She just sat there. I didn't gloat. Didn't smile. Because this wasn't victory. This was just the end. We left the courthouse in silence. The kids hugged me like nothing had changed. Because for them, nothing had. I'd already been the one who stayed. Who cooked breakfast? Who remembered their favorite bedtime stories? The only thing different now was the paperwork confirming it. Ava messaged me 2 weeks later. I was never trying to destroy us. I was trying to make you feel something. I stared at it for a while. Then responded with the last message I'd ever send her. You did. I just stopped showing it. A few months later, her sister reached out to me. Sent a screenshot Ava accidentally posted to a private story. It was a photo of a journal entry. One line underlined 3 times. If I'd just been honest, if I'd just said I was hurt, maybe he'd still be here. But honesty came too late. By the time she realized what she wanted, I was already gone.